Oh, howdy all, grab yourselves a beer, it is time for some Path of Exile discussion. Today I wanted to showcase the sort of loot that you can expect from running medium to high tier Blighted maps. Now just a quick heads up on how I roll these, you'll see that they are scoured. They are scoured and they have the implicit mod 6 Blight chests are lucky and that also comes with 15% monster pack size. That is acquired by using 3 Teal oils to make an anointment on them. You can also use crimson oils if you prefer, but you won't get enough of a reward on, except maybe on tier 15 and 16 ones, to justify that. So see that there's an enormous loot explosion when you complete the map. And pretty much most of it doesn't show through my loot filter. I am running a very strict filter. You kind of need to because there's just so much rubbish here. But if you do need scrolls for personal use, it is a very good time to pick them up. Now, the lucky chest that I mentioned before, so that's 6, it's then increased by 24% by your Awakener bonus, so that rounds down, so you get 7 lucky chests. That means that 7 of these clusters of chests, so not 7 individual chests, but 7 clusters of chests down here, the outcome will be rolled twice, and you will get the rarer one. Rarer doesn't necessarily mean better, so for instance, Prophecies is a bit rarer than Currency, and Prophecies is generally a garbage reward now, but most of the rarer ones are the better ones. So here's the Essence clusters. These are not particularly good. I have nothing below Screaming showing, so you won't see what was there. These are the weapon ones. These are rubbish, except if you're still working on Unveiling. You can have a look and see, sometimes you'll have a veiled item there. Those can be of use. Currency is less valuable than it might seem, but they're a good consolation prize. Of all the common ones, they're the best. These gem ones are mostly rubbish. Sometimes you get a high tier quality gem, but usually you will get nothing. However, there is a slim chance of getting a level 21, 23 quality Val gem from those, and if they're on meta, they can be worth something. These oil chests are good. So they will never drop you a replacement for your Blighted map. They will only ever drop you the various oils, but they're a good source of them, and because they drop so clustered, I actually end up overruling my loot filter and picking up the rubbish tier ones. These Prophecy ones, unfortunately, haven't aged very well. Nothing to do with Prophecy as itemized drops has aged well in the game, and these Talismans, they are useless. The only real use for these is to vendor them for alteration shards at the moment. Superior Elemental hit at 17%, that's actually okay. So this was a gem cluster. Gem clusters are one of the better of the common ones. They're not fantastic, but they're good enough. Now we have a cluster of Currency again. Then we have a Divination card cluster, and that's one that excites me a bit. Even though a lot of the time they're rubbish, they just have the potential for some of the biggest hits you get. I did just open one of the Divination ones by mistake then, and as you can see, I was penalized for my impatience by getting 2 Reign of Chaos and 1 the Warden. Most of the Divination cards you get here will be trash. However, there is the potential to get something genuinely good. Pack Rat in me is picking up the low tier ones. I probably shouldn't do that. This is an armor cluster. Again, do check for veiled items if you care about them. This late in a league, because I'm making this about 3 weeks into Harvest League, they won't sell, but they are useful for yourself. They will never be the veiled ones, the veiled mods that are linked to a member of the Betrayal Syndicate. They will be the universal ones. So you'll see here that I just picked up this prefix modifier veiled, but it is just a standard amulet. This will be rubbish. Again, I did get an of the veil. I'm not going to pick it up, but generally speaking, you might want to. 14 quality Val gems, not so hot. They're just basically a third of a gem cutter prism, fortunately. Uniques. These are almost always rubbish, but they're still worth checking. But let your loot filter do the checking for you. No need to overrule it. So here you'll see that this one is double veiled. That actually doesn't make it a genuinely useful item. but because it's rarer, it has it will cover more of your unveiling, and so it's got a bit more utility. That one's one I'm going to consider worth picking up. At this point, even with quite tight loot filter, I've already filled up my entire inventory with crap. That normally happens. Normally I find that I do enter and exit a Blighted map and take a whole bunch of loot out with me. So let's try and get a sense as to how much value we've picked up out of this. This fossil was from an incubator, so it's not really going to count. That was from a previous content. So we have, I think that's 1 chaos. I think that's about 2 so far. Maps are always in demand in the current league, so that's 3 chaos at least. So we'll call that 5. Still 5, still 5. Maybe 6, maybe 8. These oils are about 1 each, so that's 11. These might be 1, I don't know. I'm going to call them 3 in total, so 14. These are basically nothing, basically nothing, basically nothing. I'm just picking them up. Scours are, we'll call that 15 so far. We did pick up a couple of gems there. Tectonic Slam 19% is worth throwing a GCP on and trying to sell. I'd say I'm going to call that 5 chaos, so we're at 24. Essences are all rubbish. This will sell. These probably will not, and they will not. Why don't I just waste them all? And then we have, so we're at 24 so far. I think that's 5 chaos, so 29. Nothing, nothing, 1. That's 32. So we've made back the cost of the zone so far with absolutely no good drops. Harbinger's Orb is fragment. And then we can just go and use these unveils just to advance some unveil XP. Speed can't be chilled is always a useful one. And I'm a huge fan of these hybrid resists. I actually use them a lot. So those I'm not going to count as being worth anything, as much as they're cool. Well, not really cool. The prophecy for strongboxes has some merit. Will sell to the right person. I just don't know if I can be bothered finding the right person, and I'm just going to forget about that. I'll throw it in this in my perpetually markdown tab. So far we've got about 32 chaos. That basically covers the cost of the map, but normally you would get more than this. It's my experience, you will get more than this in most of them. You could make quite a bit more if you picked up all the small stuff and sold it, but that's always the case with this game. You can pick up lots and lots of rubbish, and speaking of picking up rubbish, and sell it, and you will get something from it, but that does of course cost you time. And there's one more to look for, and I'm too much of a pack rat to walk away from the map without finding it. That's where it is. And we've got something else that's... if I'd realised I had so little left, I probably would have picked it all up. One more double veil. Unfortunately, this is not a particularly good Blighted map. However, despite the fact that I got miles below average, I do think that I made the cost of the map back with no real profit on it. In general, though, you will make a lot more than that when you you'll make a lot more than that when you run a map that's Blighted. I would estimate that you make something like 25 chaos on average on each one, and they're definitely also a lot of fun to run. So we'll actually run one now. Let's run this Geode. Geode is actually a tricky tile set for Blighted maps because of just the directional nature of the map. It can be quite a mongrel one, which will give you a bit of a chance to see what to expect. So very first thing, very important, move the portal. You don't want the portal getting in your way. And then start with Cassia. If you need to, take some time to set up some early towers. You'll notice that nothing here is immune to fire except for these two, one of which is a boss, and nothing at all is to cold. I'm going to set up a last line of defense, which is going to be a glacial cage tower. That's something that can catch enemies in it if they come nearby. I'm going to stay well away from lightning because there's 2 bosses that are lightning immune. I'm going to, I think, go with a fire tower here, and that's going to be an anti-boss meteor tower. Meteor towers are anti-boss, and the flamethrower tower is anti-trash. My character's very good at anti-trash work, so I don't need to bother with that at all. Being Ignite Fireball Trickster is one of those builds that just is absolutely dominant when it comes to murdering trash mobs, projecting damage to lots of targets at once. Wow! That, I just got focus fired from monsters I didn't see because I wasn't paying attention. That will happen if you're careless. You will get swarmed. The trash in here are nothing to sneeze at. Always good to get the blooper out of the way though. Hopefully it is the only blooper. So these bosses can be quite dangerous, especially because you don't see them often, so they're a bit unfamiliar in terms of the skills that they can use against you. Every time Cassia says, put out new mycelium, new roots, that means that a new branch from the origin has started. Very important to get those under control quickly. And I'm going to use a scout tower here because scout towers are very solid at dealing with both trash and bosses. If you're wanting to get your feet wet with these maps and you're having trouble with the combat encounters, one thing that you can do is instead of running a high tier map with oils that amplify the loot, you can use the lowest tier oils to reduce the difficulty of the map. One of the clear oils, one of the amber oils, and the sepia oils. Those are the three that make the map easier. One of them will reduce monster speed. One of them will cause towers to cost much less to create. That's more powerful than it sounds. It probably sounds powerful as well. This one was really close to the origin. That was a very close call there, because that boss spawns so close to the tower. Bosses can often they deal devastating damage to the tower. I think they may even be able to one-shot it. They certainly one-shot it in normal maps. At this point, I'm hitting a spot in the map where the amount of incoming monsters and the amount of incoming materials for purchasing towers is just going nuts. I pretty much have access to all the towers I want now. And the key is just keeping that centerpiece safe. I'm going to use a smothering tower here. I will probably want to replace the green tower I just destroyed to do that, because the tier 4 towers don't keep their old abilities. I'm not sure where I'm taking damage from there. One interesting dynamic with these maps in a softcore environment is you're actually more concerned about failing the map than you are about your character dying. It's a bigger loss to fail a map. You'll lose almost all the loot. Alrighty, now we're on cleanup mode now. I mean, it's not completely over yet, but I think all the bosses are dead. Oh no, there's still 3 left to spawn. You can tell from the tracker here. Which is really odd because the time of the zone should be complete now. Not sure what's gone on with that. Oh no, I've already killed the boss, but I haven't killed all the trash attached to that portal. That's what's happened. That explains it. The boss is actually dead, and the trash is not. So now we've got to go and find the last of the trash, and then we can loot another one of these. Hopefully we'll get a bit more loot than we got the first time. So that's the end. You notice I got a scarab reward. Scarab rewards can be quite juicy. These are fragments. They're usually rubbish. Tier 16 blight maps, I think you can get better. That said, I was running a bit low on some of those sack fragments. There's something really satisfying about looting these as well. I do always overrule the loot filter and pick up all of the gumball currency after a currency node, just because you do use that stuff. The only reason you don't pick it up normally, it's not that it's completely worthless, it's that it drops too far apart to be worth the effort, and they address that. This will be lots of oils. Again, I pick up the small ones because in the context of the Harvest League, they have uses with the transform and oil mechanic. Harbinger has some potential. It's mostly rubbish, but you will get exalt shards there sometimes. You will get some bigger stuff. I don't know why I'm picking those shards up, but anyway. A couple of maps, not particularly many, but you know, maps are free. Maps are free maps. In the Harvest League, that means that you get access to more seed caches, and seed caches, if you just blitz to the seed caches, you can certainly turn maps into currency really quickly in this league. So you just basically burn your maps, just not bothering trying to finish them or anything, just blitz to the seed cache. Okay, so that Crusader plate is probably just over my threshold of worth picking up. These fossils, however, these fossils are a good node. I'm now completely out of inventory space, I believe. So I'm going to portal out and try and get some sort of inventory of the loot that we've got as we put it away. So that's about 2 chaos. I think that's about 4, 6. We'll call that 7. Call that 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17... 17-ish plus all these fragments. That's another 7 chaos or so, so 24. Then we have these maps. So at 30, 33 there, because you can sell any red map for 3 chaos in this league, at least. And then we have a bunch of stuff to dump in the second dump tab. And we've got these fossils. So 33, I think these are about 2.5, so 38. Don't think these are worth much, so maybe 43 now. And then let's go back in and keep cleaning up this loot. These will be worthless. I did say I was going to pick this up. I'm going to end up being disappointed by it, but I will pick it up anyway. Cadiro Perandus. One of the most annoying mechanics in the game at the moment. I can never stop myself looting these, even though I really should, because there is no reason to pick these up. They're basically 1/5 of a scroll of wisdom each. And yes, you can vendor them for scrolls of wisdom if you're wondering. 5 for 1. Especially with the current league mechanics dropping many thousands of them, albeit only in convoluted circumstances. I think we've all pretty much crunched some unique into Perandus coins. Another rubbish one. Another rubbish one. We've got to find the scarabs. They're hiding somewhere. Black oils are a bit more valuable from memory. We also got a crimson or two in there. So this more than sustains, like whilst you won't sustain teal oil specifically, you'll get enough. Oh, well, that makes it all good. That was a lucky pull, but they don't seem that rare in Blighted maps, to be honest. This is my third one tonight, and it's only my first exalt, but I think you might get one maybe in every 10 Blighted maps. They do add up to quite a bit. Scarabs. Scarabs are great. Gilded Harvey Scarab is good. I don't believe you can get jeweled scarabs in these, or whatever they call them, winged scarabs, but you can get the lower tier ones. And now we got a few rubbish ones just to finish off. There's another. You can follow the paths on the ground sometimes, so you'll see here that the only path that's still appearing, that will take us to the last cluster of loot. Hiding here in a corner where it can disappoint me. Leather belt? That would have been cool if that had been a headhunter. But hopefully that gives you a bit more of a sense as to what to expect from the Blighted maps. There's, in terms of total loot, look, I got lucky with the exalt, so let's pretend that wasn't there for a second. The scarabs alone, getting a scarab node is lucky, but it's not extraordinarily so, and it makes up for the first lot being mediocre. I think you'll get a scarab node maybe every third Blighted map or every fourth, and when you get them, they're juicy. As well as that, there's all just the little stuff that just really does add up. So the long and the short of this is, are Blighted maps worth doing? Yes, they are, and they're a lot of fun, but you do want to make sure that you're able to succeed at them. There's no point there's no point running them if you're going to fail them outside extraordinary circumstances. So focus on that first, build your character up, and then just try the low tier maps. Low tier Blighted maps are very available. You can easily buy them in trade from other players, and just give one of them a shot first. That'll give you a sense as to whether you've got the damage projection necessary. It's not really a difficult requirement when it comes to DPS. My single target damage on this character is pretty low, but it is very, very, very much a high bar that you need to meet for damage projection. Anyways, if you've got any comments or questions, I'll leave them below. I'm going to leave it there. I hope you have a good one.